Talk of Rome playing the fiddle while the Rome bends. Zimbabwe has had the great misfortune ever since our independence in 1980. It has been on the slow burner. The country has drifted deeper and deeper into chaos over these last 45 years. As much as people would want to believe that Mugabe and now Mnangagwa and this Zanu PF party cared about the nation, about the freedom, liberty of ordinary Zimbabweans, the truth of the matter is they really didn't care at all. Zanu PF leaders have been, from the word go, focused on securing absolute power for themselves. And like what somebody once said, they believe they have the divine right to rule the country and to pick the choice fruit from the nation's wealth. That is all they care about. So unfortunately, the country has found itself with a ruling elite that have been fighting among themselves to consolidate their own hold on power and to loot. That is all Zanu PF thugs have been focused on for 45 years and counting. Some people thought the 2017 military coup was a light at the end of the tunnel. It has turned out to be an oncoming freight, a runaway freight train. One can only imagine the noise it makes as it careers down the tunnel. The problem with Zanu PF is that when you think, okay, we've gone through that phase, they've had their factional war, now can we have peace? Something else comes up. The 2017 did not resolve the chaos in the party. Two factions immediately emerged. One led by Mnangagwa, the other one led by his VP, Chiwenga. Mnangagwa fired Obed Mpofu as the party's Secretary General. And as the title says there on your screen, because Mpofu was suspected of leaking the corruption dossier that Chiwenga presented to Mnangagwa. So Mpofu was demoted. And now it turns out that Obed Mpofu seems yes, has not accepted the demotion lying down. There are two letters circulating. One signed by Obed Mpofu as Zanu PF Secretary General, and another one signed by Mdenda, Jacob Mdenda, was made the new Secretary General of the party. And so the chaos in the party continues. And meanwhile, the country is sinking deeper and deeper into the abyss. If the truth be told, we all expected this. Here is one instance where Mnangagwa and Chiwenga showed their true colors. 2008, the elections of 2008.
I also know that Mugabe conceded defeat on 2008. He phoned Mbeki and Obasanjo to concede defeat. I hope that Thabo Mbeki and Obasanjo will one day make that public. But one of them, I won't say which one, told me that Mugabe phoned them that Saturday night and said, look, I lost the election and I concede defeat. And I know that Mugabe stuck to his guns. I was prepared to go. His wife was since bags packed to go somewhere on the following day when Mnangagwa and Chiwenga approached him and said, you stay where you are. And then they contrived the runoff, sadly with the help of South Africa. And runoff took place, very violent. 360 people were killed. The South African, I came here as part of a delegation to Cape Town to see members of the ANC. I don't want to mention names, they're my friends. I saw them, and through them, a cabinet committee subcommittee of South African cabinet was set up on the Zimbabwe issue. It was on the basis of that cabinet committee that South Africa did not recognize the runoff. And indeed, it was the basis of that committee that Thabo sent the generals to South Africa, to Zimbabwe. I met them, and I was one of the few to have read the report, because I was flying to Joburg in the company of General Romano, who was a friend. He passed away, no? So, yeah. And I also took people who had lost their hands in the violence to the South African embassy in Harare. And Romano broke down in tears. How can a liberation movement treat these people like that? He was a broken man. So there's no doubt at all here in South Africa as to the brutality of the regime in Harare. So it amazes me, it angers me, in fact, when I hear the nonsense coming out of people like Mbalula's mouth. They know it. And the report has never been published, the general's report, to this day. That tells you. Is it complicit behavior? I don't know. But to get back to 2008, the runoff took place. Mugabe was sworn in at midnight before boarding a plane with Mbeki to Sharm el-Sheikh. Ambassador, I forgot to mention that. Yes? I won't talk about it was contrived, but clearly there was a definite plan to keep Mugabe in office.
Well, it did keep him in office. But credit where credit is due. SADC and the AU refused to recognize the Zanu PF regime after the 2008. And it was that refusal that forced Mugabe and company to accept going into the GNU. The primary purpose of the GNU was to implement the democratic reforms which would have ended the Zanu PF dictatorship. Alas, not even one token reform was implemented. Not one. And if the truth be told, Mugabe bribed the MDC leader Morgan Tsvangirai and his MDC friends to forget about the reforms. They failed to implement even one token reform in 5 years of the GNU. If they had implemented those reforms, the 2013 elections would have been free, fair, and credible, and Zimbabwe would be in a different place. So we missed the opportunity when we had it. And in fact, ever since the GNU debacle, MDC CCC leaders have conned people to participate in flawed elections to give Zanu PF legitimacy. This is one of the tragedies of Zimbabwe. We had, on the one hand, the ruling party Zanu PF, a party of thugs, murderous thugs, who were prepared to kill to retain power, as we saw in the 2008 elections. How a nation went on to accept Mnangagwa and Chiwenga to occupy the highest offices in the land, given what they did in 2008, beggars belief. But we should not be surprised. We should not be surprised that this happened. And now the two thugs are fighting each other. For control of the power of the party. And the chaos continues. It is frightening because the nation is really totally helpless. We can't stop the infighting. And while they are fighting, the country continues to sink deeper and deeper into the abyss. It is a desperate situation we are in. And unfortunately, it is one of our own making. What is the way out? Well, the way out is for the people of Zimbabwe not to be sucked into this factional war taking place in Zanu PF. As much as some people would want to believe that Chiwenga should be supported because he's now standing up against corruption, I'd like to remind those people that Chiwenga is as corrupt as everybody else. Chiwenga has got mansions, fleet of posh cars. When he was having going through a divorce with one of his wives, the list of his wealth was exposed. Farms, business interests, mansions, even had 45 gold watches. And I can tell you now, he did not amass that wealth from his salary as commander of the army. He was as much involved in the looting of the Chiaza diamonds as other army officials, police, CIO, and other Zanu PF leaders. What we don't want is have a repeat of 2017, when people thought that the coup was going to end the chaos in the country and welcomed the coup, only for it to turn out to be an oncoming runaway freight train and not the light at the end of the tunnel they thought it was. The present infighting in Zanu PF is going to end in a similar way. We just don't know how it's going to end. Many people fear that as much as the 2017 military coup did not end in a bloodbath, if a similar thing was to happen now, the end could be totally different. What is the way forward? The way forward is do not support either faction. People should focus their attention on what it is that the nation really wants. And what I believe the nation wants right now is an end to the Zanu PF dictatorship. We can end it, ideally, by making sure 2028 elections are free, fair, and credible. And we vote them out. But there's no chance of Zanu PF implementing any meaningful reforms, because Zanu PF will never reform itself out of office. And at the present moment, Zanu PF has got total control of Parliament and the Senate. So there is no chance of any meaningful reforms being implemented between now and 2028. Plan B is for people to stop participating in flawed elections. Last time they were conned by the likes of Chamisa, not for the first time, that he had plugged vote rigging loopholes and people should participate, when in fact he was lying. I think people should wise up. Chamisa lied to the people. And the consequences are that by participating in their millions, they gave Zanu PF legitimacy. We expect tomorrow Chamisa to launch his new political party. And we know That will mark the beginning of him campaigning, telling people that his party will win and they should participate in 2028. The battle right now is not so much on stopping Zanu PF rigging the elections. That is a foregone matter. The battle is making sure that people do not make the mistake of participating in a flawed process to give Zanu PF legitimacy. The battle is to convince people that Chamisa is lying to you.
Makorokoto Zimbabwe nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan. Denga raronga plan, denga harifoiri. Plan yaMwari haifoiri. Ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
That was 2023. He made an equally outrageous lie in 2018. He's coming back with another outrageous lie in 2028. The question is, are Zimbabweans finally smart enough to accept that Chamisa is a liar? Chamisa and his friends have been Zanu PF Team B in all but name, playing for Team A to win and to have legitimacy. And what have we been getting from Team A? The chaos. We can end the chaos of Zanu PF rule by making sure that 2028 the party does not have legitimacy. The trouble with some people is they want a simple solution. There is no simple solution because this is a complex problem. The distinction between Zanu PF and MDC-CCC is not as clear-cut as it was in 1999 when the party was first launched. Like I said, MDC-CCC, since the GNU of 2008 to 2013, had been Zanu PF Team B in all but name. You can't separate the two. So you need to be subtle. You need to be honest. The solution is there. If MDC-CCC had implemented the reforms during the GNU when they had the golden opportunity to do so, Zimbabwe would be in a different place. They did not. This is where we are. The question is, can we move on? And we can only move on by accepting that MDC-CCC sold out during the GNU, and they've been conning people to participate in flawed elections to perpetuate the dictatorship. Mnangagwa and Chiwenga should not be even in office if you consider alone their role in the 2008 elections. They showed their clear intentions. They will kill to hang on to power. That is the kind of individuals we have in Zanu PF. We can end the Zanu PF dictatorship. We just need to be smart. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.